So there's a little bit of delay, and once I see that it is on, maybe it needs to be 4:15, and then it's on. The YouTube officer, how it look? Is it looking all right? It's looking all right. Not yet. Still waiting. Still waiting. So I got those same information that is waiting for user, waiting for user. But I have my streaming on. I have my streaming on. So is it coming from another channel or what? What is this? Okay, so there I can see the chats. So people are communicating, but something wrong in the stream. I need to. So just a few minutes. I need to take this one off to see like how it look. Maybe I need to use another streaming key. That may be the possible. Maybe that's the reason that I don't see anything here. Hold on. So YouTube officer, please let me know if you see something. If something goes out. Not yet. Um, I don't want to use this. This browser is no good, so I need to use this one. So everything was technically perfect, but Creator Studio. Streaming. So is it going in other place of this? Oh, look at this. So the streaming is on. It looks that it is on. Live here. Look at this. So we don't have the correct link. So the link is incorrect. So this is a link. All right. Can I chat with the other participants? Can I say that please go and use this link? Okay. So then that will do it. Uh, what the heck is deal with this? So how can I know what was the link of the previous video? Oh, right. So I can go to modal. All right. So we will get started momentarily. So every single time we are facing a little bit of technical difficulties. This time the technical difficulties related to streaming. And my friend is calling me. I'm not gonna answer that call. My voice is breaking? Really? Hmm. That's a big deal if it is breaking again, because I was checking that many times prior to lecture. I did recordings and it was all the time perfect. But now when you listen to me from that streaming, it is still breaking. Can you please let me know what is the deal? It comes with a major delay, so you cannot tell me right away. So it's what? So it's live. Really. So if using this link, all right. So now you guys need to help me. How is that I can make that um, my comment here? So this is a link, and this is the one that is going out. Correct. Why did it not copying the link? Hmm. Yeah, that's right. So the link is not. Um, okay. So the final thing is that how is my voice? Is it breaking or not? My voice is okay. Okay. So good. So we are 7 minutes behind the schedule. I would like to apologize that, but you need to get used to deal with the technical difficulties, because that what I will experience, if not all the lectures, then many of the lectures are suffering because of the technical difficulties. I guess that it's just that there's too many packets, too many wires, too many software, too many this and that, and something always goes wrong. And when something always goes wrong, that affects the recording and it affects the streaming as well. I'm really sorry about that. I do my best to try to solve all the possible problems, technical problems, but there seems to more coming that I'm able to solve. Anyways, so today the real fun thing will get started. So today we're gonna go deep into multi-body. So we're gonna look at the kinematics in details. So this is our schedule in this period, which is a period number 1. So today we're going to take a look at the description of velocity and acceleration. That, yes, one more thing to set up. Not this one, but what is that? Where is it? This, this. So now you can see that. And my writing is coming also. Thank you. And a little less light. What you said, you said. Yeah, that I cannot do. I cannot do that. It have to be this size. Why? I don't know. It is what it is. But would you like to turn off the lights off? Uh, is this good? It's too dark because this is the problem is it's kind of like getting late in the afternoon, so you're falling asleep if it is that little light. So is this better now? Okay, so I was about to explain the schedule in this first period. We got started from the ground rules and description of rigid bodies. Very, very, very important. By the way, maybe we can set the competition. So if you can count correctly, like how many times I say very, very important in this class, you can get the reward. I don't know what it is, but you can do the math. But we learned this. So we learned that a particle description in a global coordinate system consists of two components. So first, we will describe the translation of body coordinate system, and then we will account the orientation, the orientation and rotation of the body coordinate system, and then we're describing the particle with respect to body reference coordinate system. So this is how we will describe the particles with respect to global coordinate system. And this is a kinematics, you know, story, you know, that's pretty much the whole story about the kinematics. And now we will look at the kinematics from different perspectives. First of all, we're gonna differentiate this equation with respect to time. And why we do that? Because we would like to learn how it's a description of velocity. And then we can, once we do that, so we will get r dot. So from position, we can get the velocity. And once we differentiate the velocity with respect to time, we will get what? Acceleration. So we will get acceleration. So why is it we are interested in acceleration? But that will be something that we definitely need in later when we look at the dynamics. Because remember, in dynamics, we basically are dealing with this equation that you're very much familiar with. Externally applied force is equal than inertial forces. So this is mass multiplied by what? Acceleration. So instead of using A here, we will use R dot dot. That's it. So that's how we can describe the particle dynamics. But there's something important prior to that. And that something important is that we have to look like how is that we can limit the motion possibilities of multi-body system. Because remember, the multi-body system is a system that consists of multiple bodies that are connected together via joints. What's the role of joints? They limit the motion possibilities. How we can express these limitations, these couplings between the bodies? We go back to this equation, and again, we will use it over and over again, even to describe the constraints, joints. So that's the story. Now, just one more notation before we moving ahead. I might ask in my in-class quizzes something that, how is this and that? And one of the options is related to forces and moments. Now, something very important to keep in mind that we have not touched the forces or moments, and we will not do so until we reach the week 4. Everything from this on will be just the kinematics. Why? Because the kinematic actually itself is a very powerful tool, and it can be solved to solve the responses of certain kind of systems. How that will happen, we will get back to that a little later. Not today, but next week. Kinematic analysis. All right, so weekly homework. I think that I mentioned last week that the symbolic math tools are allowed and recommended. Use whatever you feel that is the most appropriate to you. MathCAD, Mabel, MATLAB, whatever. But I think it is a good idea to start using the symbolic math tool because once you're entering the exam, midterm exam, you can use those same symbolic tools. And now if you have a template ready for you, then it actually takes just a few minutes to type all the information to your equation. If it is correct, you can get the correct answer with no serious effort. So that's why it makes sense to start using symbolic math tool. But what about the weekly homework? What about the submission? Now the submission we are expecting you to do the PDF submission, whatever you like. PDF, you can, if the one way, if no other ways, you can use a pen and paper. So you can solve the weekly homework. You can take a picture of that using your mobile phone and convert that to be PDF. And PDF is then the one you can actually submit it as a weekly homework. How you can do that? You know, once you log into Moodle side of this course, you need to select period number 1, topic number 2, and this is where you can submit the first weekly assignment. So it's always a one topic ahead where you can do the submission. Now, today's weekly assignment is already available, so it's already visible. So you can take a look at that. So where is it you can submit that? By clicking the topic number 3. And there is a place you can find the submission box. Clear. All right? Makes sense. Yes, we're all doing this. And just one more settings. YouTube officer, are we good with the voice? Is the voice all right? So, because it was really annoying to follow the last week lecture. You can easily develop the serious headache when following that, and not just because of the subject matter, but because of the breaking voice. And I was checking all these equipments that I have. Only explanation for the breaking voice was a low battery in one of these devices. How is my voice today? So it's perfect. Great. So tutorials, remember tutorials get started on Thursday. So the first one will be at 8:15. And if you feel that you don't want to participate, that's fine. In this course, there is no mandatory participation. If you want to skip the lecture, go ahead and do it. If you want to skip the guided tutorials, go ahead and do it. But it's a good idea to try to follow the subject matter weekly basis like we discussed last. All right. What is it we're doing in a guided tutorials? We learn how to use Simscape software. And Simscape software is the one that you will use when you do your simulation assignment. And remember the creating equation, the two mandatory items are written exam and simulation assignment. So you have to do the simulation assignment. So they kind of preparing you to do that part of the course. Okay, so now, sorry about the long introduction stuff. Let's just summarize shortly what we discussed last week, and then we're gonna move on to velocity and acceleration. And what we discussed last week was multi-body dynamics. We concluded that the multi-body dynamics is a multi-body system. Please excuse me. Is a system that consists of multiple bodies. So it could be, roughly, one system like a pendulum. It's just a single body, but you can still analyze that by using a multi-body system dynamics. If you have a double pendulum where there's a one body and two body, and then the second body, what happened? So the air server is off. Oh, please. Uh, yeah, too many things. I need to connect this again. Okay, connect it again. So we are back on. Just need to remove this one. Can use this one. No, where is it? Not connected. So I noticed you guys, when you move back, you said that the AirDrum is weak here in the front. That's what is breaking this connection. So let me open this again, and hopefully stay strong enough. Not connected. Connected. Good. Let's just try to mirror this screen. That's coming. Good. You guys need to let me know if it is breaking again. So we were discussing about what's the multi-body system, and we concluded that it's a system that consists of multiple bodies that are connected together via tongues. Very important thing, and I need to repeat this, is that we don't make the limitation regarding the magnitude of rotation. Very important, because in the linear dynamics that I'm sure you used to deal with, you make the assumption that the rotation is small. If you do that, then you can find some cases even an analytical equation to solve the dynamic responses. We don't make such kind of assumption, but we always assuming that the rotation is large, and if that's the case, there is no, in general case, there is no analytical solution available. That's why we have to create the equation of motion, and we have to solve the equation of motion in forward of, by integrating that in forward of time. Okay, so multi-body system dynamics can be applied to a wide variety of applications, including robotics, mechanisms, and mobile machines. And of course, you know that in robotics, there's many other tools available. Multi-body system dynamics is not necessarily replacing all these tools, but it's a very common and powerful tool that can be applied to many different fields. All right. Also, we learned how is, if the multi-body system consists of multiple bodies, we learned that the one body consists of infinite number of particles. Very important to understand that particle is very small. It is a mathematical notation. It's not something you can find in a real life, but is a very small dot. And because it's a very small dot, it do not have rotational degrees of freedom. Remember, particle do not have rotational degrees of freedom. In an in-class quiz that is coming soon, one option is related to particle rotation. Particle rotation makes no sense. So don't select that option. Whatever you do, please don't select that. That makes me feel happy if you don't do it. All right. So then these particles, there's an infinite number of particles. And then we're describing this particle with respect to body reference coordinate system. And this concept is takes a little while to understand that, because I'm saying that once describing one particle, say this particle here, then the vector u bar is constant. Yes, it is. But same time, vector u bar is scanning every single particle in the system. How that's possible? It's possible when I'm integrating the vector u bar over the boundaries of over the volumes of the body, and this gives me, accounts all the particles within the boundaries of the body. That's how it goes. But the single particle, that's the constant value. Got it? All right. So how it scans that? Well, it depends where the body reference coordinate system is located at. If body coordinate system is located, I have here a box-like body. If it is located in the lower corner of the box-like body, then the vector u bar scans from 0 to W in this longitudinal direction, and in this H direction, it scans from 0 to H. It goes every single location within these boundaries. If the body reference coordinate system is located in the middle of the box-like body, then it scans from uh, minus W divided by 2 to W divided by 2. And the same thing in this direction. So it scans from minus H divided by 2 to H divided by 2. Right, makes sense. Clear. All right, so this is the last thing about the summary, and then we're going to move on. Like I mentioned, description of particle, one single particle consists of two components. So first component is a translational component that is accounting the translation of the body reference coordinate system. Then I have here rotation matrix that accounts the orientation of body reference coordinate system. And now what is this matrix is doing for us? It is mapping two coordinate systems together. Now what are those coordinate systems? The body reference coordinate system and global coordinate system. That's what it is doing. So it's mapping. It is mapping. And it can be used in two purposes. It can map from body reference coordinate system to global, another way around. How that happens another way around? Well, simply by taking an inverse of the rotation matrix. It's orthogonal matrix. Remember what's an orthogonal matrix? That's a special matrix where the inverse can be simply expressed like transpose. Transpose is the mapping direction. All right. Now, if you look at the columns of the rotation matrix, these columns are actually defined in the body reference coordinate system axis. So this is x-axis and this is y-axis. They are unit in a length as the coordinate system is supposed to be unit in a length, and they are perpendicular with respect to each other. So if you look at the, these two axes, they have 90 degrees angle with respect to them. Clear? All right. So let me ask you this. What's the role of the rotation matrix? So this is our first in-class quiz. So please go ahead and log into Socrative. And I can see that we already have 47 students that log in. And I'm thinking big today. I'm thinking that the success rate is, you know what, more than 70%. Correct. More than 70. We'll see. Maybe it's going to go all the way up to the 90%. 100%, that would be really something. That would be really, really something. Then you're going to have a big group hug. And then we continue the lecture. Okay, so now someone will make a mistake intentional because knowing that there's this group hug. So no group hug. Let's put it this way. All right. Think about it. If not sure, go ahead and consult your fellow student because I would like you to score high. We'll go off here and I will revisit in this part very soon. Now, what I would like to do here, I would like to spend 10 minutes with a topic that is a little bit aside of the mainstream of today's lecture and a little bit aside of the mainstream of this course, and it is related to three-dimensional spatial description. This is going to be short, but still I would like you to be aware of this part, and I would like you to know what happens if we're going to have like real case, and the real case typically is described in three-dimensional space. What's the difference between two-dimensional and three-dimensional space? Well, obviously, we have one additional coordinate axis. So we have a tip coordinate axis, and that will change the game significantly. Not because of the translation of body reference coordinate system. This one here, we're still going to follow the same procedure. This vector here, this time consists of 3 components instead of 2 components. So no significant changes. But what is significantly different is rotation matrix. Rotation matrix, yes, sir. Sure. What is that you prefer? Okay, so you comfortable with red? All right. So it's uh, what was the story? Oh yeah, rotation. Yeah. So it was about the rotation. Oh yeah, now I remember. So it was about the dimension of rotation matrix. So what are the dimension of rotation matrix? 3 by 3. But mathematically, it's a big mess to describe the rotation in 3-dimensional space. Big mess. And why it is a big mess? It's a big mess because if you describe the body orientation using 3 parameters, you know that the body can rotate in 3 different ways. Clear? Makes sense. But if you describe the body by using 3 parameters, you are always facing something that is singularity. There is a mathematical singularity, which in computational dynamics is difficult to deal with. So that's why most of the modern softwares, they don't use 3 parameters to describe the rotation, but 4 parameters. And if you look at the literature behind the rotation, there is a huge body of papers regarding the rotations. and it's still a hot topic. Well, not hot. Let me rephrase this. Not a hot topic, but it's still a topic of research. People are still looking the best mathematical way to describe the rotations in three-dimensional space. If you're using four parameters, you typically end up to have a method that is based on quaternions. Now, if you type the rotations and quaternions to say Amazon.com, you're going to find out that there's hundreds of books about this topic, about the rotations. Why? Not because of the mechanical engineering, but because of the airspace applications. In airspace application, these rotations are very, very important. Here it comes again. Very, very important, but not very, very important in our class. We're going to just take a look at this direction, and then we're going to go back to original road. Now, method based on three parameters, three rotations. There's a many method in that too, but not as many as these quaternions that are based on four parameters. So we're going to take a look at the. Okay, so I got the information that I still have the same problem in my voice. Still have the same problem. Huh. Gonna have a break soon, and we will need to take a look like what's the deal with that. Still, hmm. So it says that voice is breaking. Is what? It was what? 10 minutes ago. So it's getting better. All right. So then we don't have a break. Good. So okay. So how is that we can describe these rotations in three-dimensional space? So we're going to take a look at the one method that is very famous. Famous method that we're going to take a look is based on Euler angles. Euler angles is a method that is based on three successive rotations. Successive rotations, successive. You know what that is in English? And this is the only time that I'm doing the translation for Finnish students. Successive means peräkkäiset here. For what are the other teams we have here? So what are the other nationalities we have? Let's see, Russians. Do we have Team Russia here? We do. Okay, so what's the successive in Russian? What? Yes, no. So I don't know. You need to look at that from the translation, successive rotation, because if you don't understand that word, you do not understand the concept. Team France. So what's that in France? Successive rotations. Same, I think. Is it more or less same? Okay, so you know what it is, what that means. So it's like once rotated will be rotated again, and two times rotated will be rotated three times. So that's what the successive rotation means. All right, so let's take a look at the concept. So it's again based on successive rotations. How we can do the rotation? Well, there is of course many ways to do it. You know, it's mentioned that there is order of rotation can be z, x, z. It can be x, y, x, and so on and so forth. But today we're going to look at maybe the most used one, and it's based on the sequence that is z, x, z. And now you're like, what? Z, x, z. Am I missing something? Like sometimes I heard that there's a y-axis too. So what about the y-axis? No, we don't use a y-axis. Why not? Because with this sequence of rotation, you can put your body to any orientation in the space. How come? Well, take a look at this gyro. Here is a picture of gyroscope, not the latest model, but the concept will be same. Look at how are the axes. So I have kind of, if you're drawing the coordinate system, z goes up, x goes, this direction. The first rotation is around z axis. Second one is around x axis. Third one is around z axis. So I have sequence that is excuse me, z, x, z. And you can put the gyro to any orientation in space. Correct. Correct. Yes. Now you do this. Yes. Okay, so you can make it happen. So let's look at this sequence of rotation. So I'm going to introduce to make it happen, I have two parallel coordinate systems, x an X bar, and I mean coordinate system with and without par. Now, I'm going to introduce the first rotation that is taking a place around z-axis. Amount of rotation is c, phi, phi. What is this? T, no, d, d, d. So this is phi. Amount of rotation is phi. All right, clear. Is it phi? Phi, phi, whatever. So is this one. Amount of rotation is this one. Clear. All right. So now we have rotated coordinate system. What is it we're going to do next? We're going to take a hold of one rotated coordinate system, and we're going to introduce another rotation. This time, amount of rotation is theta. Now I know this. I know that. So it's amount of rotation is theta, and it is around x-axis. All right. So then I have twice rotated coordinate system. Now I have from bar to double bar, and the double bar coordinate system, that's what I'm going to take a hold next. And again, I'm going to introduce the rotation around z-axis. All right. And the amount of rotation is p, p, p. You can call it whatever you want, but it's this one. So that's the amount of rotation. Now we have three successive rotations. All right, clear. So that's the story. All right, so these are the three rotations. So how it goes: first, rotation around z-axis, like it rotates like this. Then around x-axis, it goes like this, and then again round z-axis. That's how it goes. What that means mathematically, we get back to this coordinate system. But what that means mathematically, well, it means that each one of these rotations can be described by 3 by 3 rotation matrix. Successive rotation mathematically you can account by multiplying these matrices together. That's it. Let's look at the first rotation. Remember, the first rotation takes place around z-axis. How it looked in my 3 by 3 rotation matrix, the final column tells me where the rotation takes place. That's z-axis. And now if you look at this part of this matrix, this submatrix, that's exactly the same that we dealt with in two-dimensional case. So there's a lot of similarities. Second rotation takes place around x-axis. Look at this. It's here. How the rest look. Again, it looks all the same. Now the difference, of course, is that we have theta here, and we have this one here, phi, and that notation is here. And then again, the final rotation is around z-axis. So it's very simple. That's it. So now we can just go ahead and multiply these together, and this is it. This is how the 3 by 3 rotation matrix look like. That's rotation matrix for you to solve this week, one of the this week weekly assignments. Problem related to this week weekly assignment is that I'm asking you to introduce the rotation around y-axis. But we don't have y-axis. How is that you can make it happen? You can make it happen is that's the way that you first introduce the rotation in order to move x-axis to original location of y-axis. So that's 90 degrees. Then you do your rotation, and then you compensate your first rotation. That was just because you wanted to have one axis in the direction of original y-axis. So you take final rotation as a minus 90 degrees, t divided by 2. That's it. So that's the solution. You got it? You didn't, but that's all right because there's a recording. So then you can go this place, you can go back and forth like, what? And then you do the weekly homework, and it will be fine. I will repeat this next Monday. Let me think, because the deadline is not this Sunday, but Sunday after that. Yes, so I will repeat it. All right, you good? All right. Euler angles that is often used sequence of an often used sequence of rotation is the one we just started. What was the sequence of rotation? So these are the options. Just just a second, I need to go and look how is it we doing. Okay, what are the cases regarding the success rate? So I'm saying 91, 91. What is it you say? 82, 82. I think, yeah, maybe you're right about that. Oh, 85. Oh, but please, I was just hoping that you don't say this, because the first option is describe the rotation of particle. That is conceptually so wrong, like completely wrong. Because again, what is a rotation of particle? We don't have the rotation of particle because we're speaking about the rotation of body reference coordinate system and mapping between these two coordinate systems. So rotation of particle is not just wrong, but is very wrong. All right. Then the maps, the translation and rotation, yeah, fine. It's all right. Uh, describes the translation of body aid. No one is voting that. That's good news. All right. So next. So take a look at that, and I will continue. So what was the sequence of rotation we just looked at? All right. Just shortly, the properties of rotation matrix. This is what we already described. I'm not going to spend too much time here. You know that the rotation matrix in 2 and 3-dimensional space is orthogonal, meaning that it is pointing the coordinate system. If you look at the length of vectors that you can form by taking the columns of the rotation matrix, those would be unit in a length, and they are perpendicular with respect to each other. That's a definition, or even less, makes them orthogonal. But this is definitely orthogonal. So if it is orthogonal, then the transpose is equal, then the matrix inverse. Helps a lot to know that. And then, if that's the case, transpose multiplied by original rotation matrix gives us identity matrix, either 2 by 2 or 3 by 3, depending on the case. Now, in 3-dimensional space, you cannot change the order of rotation. This is only true in a 3-dimensional space. We are dealing with the planar cases, 2-dimensional cases, so it's not a significant problem. So we can skip that. And with that, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to look at the velocity and acceleration. What really follows is painful mathematics. That's what's going to follow. So now, in order to, just before we stepping into this painful mathematics, you need to take a deep breath, like, one more time. Okay, now don't get confused about mathematics. Please don't, because we have a bigger dream in our mind, not just, do this parcel, that, because that makes no sense. But we have this big dream. And the big dream we are looking at is that we wanted to define the acceleration because, remember this F equal then the mass multiplied by acceleration. We need that to describe the equation of motion. So that's the reason we're going to this painful mathematics. So it is what it is, but sometimes you need to make sacrifices in your life. This is one of those times. Okay, so how it goes. So we take description of particle. And that's a description of particle. We're going to differentiate that with respect to time. Simple like that. Okay, let's make it happen now. All right. So here it is. I'm going to take a partial differentiation of this position of a particle with respect to time. You know how it goes. I can do this component by component. So I can first differentiate this translational component with respect to time. What is that I'm going to get as a result? I'm going to get the r dot. What's r dot? Translational velocity of the body reference coordinate system. Correct. Makes sense. Because the coordinate system is moving all the time, so now I'm just measuring the translational velocity. All right? So that's it. No other thinking than that. Then what is another component? Then I have here rotation matrix multiplied by vector u bar. I need to differentiate that too with respect to time. All right. So I have two components. So I need to use these mathematical rules that I first differentiate the translation rotation matrix, and then I'm gonna differentiate the vector u bar. But what's the deal with vector u bar? That's constant. So it's not changing as a function of time because it's a constant. So I can say, okay, forget about this. So forget about this component in total. So it only what is left is two components. So is this translational velocity and rotation matrix that is differentiated with respect to time. This is where we need to take a close look what this IA dot, what that actually is referring to. And this is where we need to take the toolbox from the mathematics in our use. So we have to take this partial operation to each one of these components, cosine theta minus sine theta minus sine theta and cosine theta. And each one of them have to be differentiated separately. And now following the chain rule of differentiation, this is just mathematics, nothing else. Following the chain rule of differentiation, you can get this such the way that when you differentiate the cosine with respect to time, you will get sine theta. And then you will have here angle theta that is differentiated with respect to time. When you differentiate the minus sine theta, you're going to get cosine theta. And again, I have this theta with respect to time, partial differentiation of theta with respect to time. All right? You still with me? You want to have a break? I know. You know where the door is located at? It's over there. I can help you. I can walk with you. I can hold your hands and we can walk together outside of this lecture room. Oh, there's another door here too. So maybe we can use this one. So don't get confused about mathematics, please, because this is just a tool. So, soon we're gonna get something that is meaningful. We're gonna take a look at the interpretation. What is it we're gonna get? All right. So I was here. So then you differentiate sine with respect to time, so you get cosine. And again, you have this angle theta with respect to time, and here's a minus sine, and then the angle theta. Let's denote partial theta, partial time as a theta dot. All right. So let's do it. And this is what is that we're gonna get. And now we're very close to end. Now, A dot, this rotation matrix dot can be expressed in such a way that I have here differentiated rotation matrix. And this, by the way, has a relation of original rotation matrix. It is just rotated 90 degrees, nothing else. It's rotated 90 degrees. And then I have here angular velocity. Rotated 90 degrees multiplied by angular velocity. End of the story. All right, so summary, velocity can be expressed such the way that velocity of particle consists of two components, translational, translational velocity multiplied by angular velocity. And then I have here rotation matrix that is rotated 90 degrees. And to make that happen, to make that denotion, this is a rotation matrix, and the subnode here is theta. So that's what it means. And how that look? It looked exactly like this one here, right? And then I have here with the U bar that is have to be there because I'm looking at the velocity of one single particle. Makes sense? Are you still doing like, yes, I have this can do attitude, I can make this happen, this will happen. You have it? Good. Can you take another load? This is going to be more painful, I can guarantee you that. Because there is still one, this was just the middle step. And the dream is over there, really far off there. So that's acceleration. How is that we can make this acceleration to happen? Well, nothing, there's no other way than just use a rough power. And the rough power means that we're going to take this velocity and then we're going to use mathematics again. We're going to get acceleration. Okay, let's make it happen. Now I'm going to cut the corners here. You know, I'm having this expression of velocity. I'm not going to use that detailed explanation that in the previous case, but I'm simply going to take the component by component. The first component that I'm looking at is velocity. So what happened to velocity? And we are looking at translational velocity. What happened to that if we can differentiate that one more time with respect to time? We're going to get translational acceleration. Correct. Translational acceleration of what? Body reference coordinate system. So we're measuring the translational acceleration of body reference coordinate system. Okay? So then we have here really painful thing. We have here, this part of the equation. Nothing else really helps, and just go ahead and do it. We know that if you differentiate the vector u bar, that will be equal to 0, so we don't need to worry about that. But there are still two components that we have to worry. First component is when we differentiate, this one here, which is rotation matrix. So we're gonna get this notation. So we have angular velocity, then we have once differentiated rotation matrix, which is then dot here, there's the dot here, and vector u bar. And then final component, I'm going to take this angular velocity, I'm going to differentiate that with respect to time. I will get angular acceleration. What is left? This usual business. This is left. So this is once differentiated the rotation matrix and vector u bar. See? Now, this will be given to you as a granted, but when you have this rotation matrix that is first differentiated with respect to angle theta, and then you have the dot top of that, that one you can express in such a way that it's going to be minus angular velocity multiplied by original rotation matrix. If you don't believe it, you need to go and take a look at the lecture notes. Details are available in the lecture notes. All right? So what do we have then? So here, when we're putting all this information together, once we're substituting this information here, how the acceleration look like? Well, the first important observation is that acceleration consists of three components, not two, but three. All right. So what are these components? I have here first translational acceleration of body reference coordinate system. All right, makes sense. Then I have here a component that it depends quadratically on velocities. Quadratically on velocities. That's not the good news, but it is what it is. Not the good news. Why not? Because remember, this will be used to define inertia forces. And if there is a component that depends quadratically on velocities, inertia forces will be nasty. They will be because of the kinematics. What is this? And then we have the final thing that is angular acceleration. There is a name for this. I can call these components in different names. I can, first one is clear. That's a translational acceleration component. The second one is a normal acceleration component. And the final one is a tangential acceleration component. The very important question is like, but what about Coriolis acceleration? Because, in my previous courses in dynamics, we were looking at Coriolis acceleration seriously. In many cases, it was very important. It may be, but think about the definition of Coriolis acceleration. By the way, what is a definition of Coriolis acceleration? I can tell you that if you don't want to answer that question. It means that Coriolis acceleration takes place if a particle moves in a rotating disk. Here's an example. They're like, what? So is this a joke? Partly. It is partly a joke, but I'm a particle that is moving in a rotating disk. So there's a rotating disk, Earth. Earth. That's because I'm moving here. I'm experiencing the Coriolis acceleration. It's very, very tiny. I heard that some of the students are saying that in a Friday evenings when you have several drinks, you can feel it. You can feel it, and you can even lose your balance because of that. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But it's very, very tiny acceleration that you experience when you're walking in this rotating disk. Okay, what it means, first of all, the rotation of Earth is typically never accounted when you look at the science of mechanisms because it's such a tiny acceleration that it makes no difference. But if you have a body and it is connected to ground by a revolute joint at this end, and then you have a particle here, and then you're rotating this body like around this revolute joint, then what happens to this particle? Can this particle move in a rotating disk? No, it cannot. Why not? Because we are dealing with rigid bodies. That's not. That's the reason. The vector u bar is what? Constant. So we don't have Coriolis acceleration. Depending on the kinematics, you may or may not have the Coriolis accelerations. It's all about the kinematics. It's all about the selection of coordinates. It's all about how you select to describe your system. You may have it depending on your description. But remember, we made an agreement in the very first lecture. We said, we're going to use this body reference coordinate system and vector u bar. So we don't have it. So we don't have it. But other description of kinematics, you may have it. Okay, so that's about it. Um, so let's have a break. Is it all right to have just a 5 minutes break? So then the YouTube officer, is it still that I'm suffering because of the voice quality, or is it better stay off from that? Is it all right? Maybe what I could do is that I will look at the recording and see if there's still a problem with the voice. But 5 minutes break, and then let's come back after 5 minutes. So that's say 5:17. 5:17 we will be back. All right. Just we're gonna close this recording, so you are not gonna